So I was slicing up some eggplant for my dinner, and I saw from other people's channels who are friends of his that Bering's channel was terminated. And I have some thoughts about what led up to this. Now, the specific type of removal of his channel, the termination, did not get preceded by copyright strikes or community guidelines strikes. This was just a flat-out termination, which has been the same for other channels who have done similar things that Bering did. And a couple of the channels citing the reasons why his channel was terminated are saying that it was primarily due to the shilling of a vape slash cannabis related CBD oil marketer. And that makes sense to me as far as the wording of the type of termination that he got with the misleading advertising, because CBD oil itself is just surrounded with a whole bunch of marketing that is akin to snake oil salesmen. It cures everything, right? But there were actually 3 different things that I saw Bering do in the last few months that I think also they fit this mold of why a channel would get terminated for these reasons. So that first one was shilling a vape online store that sells CBD oil, right? The second one is actually shilling EduBirdie and sites that do writing for other people, so that basically you can turn in an assignment for your school plagiarized, from the people that you bought it from, and then you get an A, and you've committed a sort of academic fraud. And of course, they say on these sites, don't ever turn in these assignments as is, because that would be wrong. These are just examples that we're selling you, right? Similarly, a head shop could say, no, this isn't a bong, this is just a water pipe. So that's where the misleading advertising comes in. They know, everybody knows what it actually is. The semantics of it are just ways of getting around the policies that YouTube has in place. And the third thing that I've seen that I felt was problematic in a way was Bering shilling VPNs. Now, VPNs right now are completely legal in the United States, but it's obvious that if you don't want people seeing what you're doing, maybe that there's something that you shouldn't be doing on the internet that you're using it for. So it's like saying the dark web, completely legal that it exists as a dark web. It's the things that goes on, within the dark web that is shady, right? And I can imagine in a world where YouTube has to pay attention to the laws of multiple different countries, right? Sometimes one country will make a decision that makes it very problematic for the way that they do business in other countries, such as German music copyright law is often very different from American music copyright law, and so YouTube's ways around using copyrighted material by just giving the AdSense to the original artist of the music rather than completely giving someone a copyright strike, that wasn't acceptable to Germany, so many videos just used to get this post saying, this video is not available in Germany, right? And then YouTube had to work to hash out a deal with German lawmakers in order to make that not the case anymore. But variations in law are very problematic for YouTube to be a business that spans the entire world. And it's one of those things where some countries do not allow VPNs to operate the same way that they can operate in other countries. So to have people shilling VPNs and advertising them as a way to encrypt your data so that the authorities cannot see what you're doing, that's something that YouTube is going to have to crack down on, because if you make that advertisement within your video, and YouTube doesn't have an ability to say, no, you can't advertise that to this specific country, then you're basically breaching YouTube's good faith in presenting their platform to that country. And a lot of this also has to do with China. Okay, there are certain things that you cannot advertise in countries like China, where like YouTube can't even break in because they have no control over the content that's said in the videos. They can present it as, well, we won't show ads for anything that China doesn't like in between videos, but if they can't control what people are saying within the video, then China doesn't want them there. So then, like, little offshoots of what YouTube could have been in China have grown within China, but still they're basically combed through with state censorship, So CBD oil, edgy-birdie, writing places that promote plagiarism, and VPNs that circumvent government's ability to track what you're doing. What do these things have in common? Well, all three of them would not be able to make an ad for YouTube to get played in normal ad space on YouTube, the way that YouTube sells ads, right? They are against YouTube's policies for having a regular ad, so they had to do this end around of offering themselves up to individual creators to mention them, with affiliate links and whatnot, in order to advertise. And so this is what you need to look out for if you are to grow a channel to the size of Bearing or anyone else, and you think that you can get a little bit of money on the side by shilling products with product placement. Think about, why is it that this product can't just make its own YouTube ad? Well, there's 3 examples right there from what Bearing was doing of ads that really aren't something that YouTube would push. They would be severely restricted on YouTube. So that's the thing that I think that people need to be aware of in the future, is just, if they can't make their own ad and put it on YouTube for cheaper, and they're willing to give you a bunch of money for a mention because you have a lot of social influence, why is that? Because they could have just made their own video, had complete control over it, and not had to have associated themselves with whatever problematic things that you're saying. I mean, immediately, because of Bearing's politics, half of the audience is gone, because they are the SJWs that he likes to make fun of, right? What product wants to keep on associating themselves with different political personalities, which just keep on cutting out parts of the demographic that their ad would be working for? The reason why they've made that concession and gone to the model of presenting themselves for product placement, direct advertising through the YouTubers, is because they're not allowed to promote their stuff, through the normal means, because we've already come to these scenarios and thought it out and said, do we want people selling pot oil, across the internet? And do we want to be promoting websites by just saying CBD oil when, they have all these other products that are definitely more geared for people who are looking for a little bit more than just CBD. Do we want to be promoting these sites that say, oh, this is just an example and you're not supposed to turn it in on its own, even though we don't, register it anywhere, or, you're getting the only copy, so, we're trusting you to do the right thing. Do we want to really have these things? No. We don't want to have these things as YouTube ads. So, they had to do the end around of just presenting themselves to the individual YouTubers, and some of the YouTubers that they have been able to strike deals with have been terminated for doing business with them, right? A lot's been made of Behring and the CBD oil thing in the few videos that I did see, but if you just look to 2 weeks ago, EduBirdie was the big thing that channels were being terminated for. That was on What's Trending. So there were many different things that Behring was probably willing to shill in order to make a buck on the side, because it didn't really run afoul of his own sensibilities. But YouTube's sensibilities are a very different thing. So keep that in mind if you're ever going to be one of those mid-level stars here on YouTube. Protect what you've built, and don't let people try to flash a bunch of dollar signs in your face and get you to shill something, and think, oh, you're standing up to the YouTube man because YouTube's not putting video ads on my videos because of politics, and I've been demonetized, and so I'm going to find a different way. Well, you find a different way, that still might not be agreeable to YouTube.